The main thing that I want to bring up for the extra credit assignment is how to do the data entry. The rest of the procedural steps are analogous to what you would do in those instruction sheets. If you follow along there, you'll get those right. I suppose you have to watch out and make sure that you change the confidence level when you need to change the confidence level and things like that. But generally, those steps are going to be identical. It's the same functions and everything. But the data entry is a little bit odd because there are those two components that involve your student ID, one in the single mean, one in the single proportion. That's there so that the assignment would be unique for everybody. And in theory, that way, if you wanted to do the extra credit assignment, you have to do your own. That's what I was thinking there. For the single mean, it's the last 3 digits of your student ID that would be that last price of a Pink Splendor Barbie. So for that fake example student ID that's there, the last 3 digits are 3, 6, and 8. So that 18th price is $368. There are a couple of options for the data entry. You could do manual entry where you use the combine function and type all the numbers individually, or you could use read.csv. I would strongly suggest that you use read.csv. It's less work and it's hard to make a typing error. If you're going to use read.csv, you need to save the Barbie's CSV file on your hard drive somewhere, on the desktop, or put it wherever you want. You have the first 17 prices in there, and for that example, the last one was $368, so I'm just going to type in the $368. I'm going to save this, and now when I import it into R, I should have all 18 prices, including the $368. So in R, at first, I'm just going to call this data generically, and read.csv, file.choose, and header equals T, because if you look at the Barbie CSV, there is a header that's price. And now it should be in there, so if I retype data and print it, there. All 18 prices, including the $368. The reason that I called it data is that this is actually an intermediate step. This is going to look redundant, but if you're going to use a column from a CSV file, you do have to do it this way. It looks like I have it as a single column right now, but I don't. The way that R is going to interpret that is as one big chunk, even though there aren't other variables there. So you have to extract the price column. So now I'm going to call this Barbie's. And from the thing that I called data, I want price. So data $, which specifies a column, and then the column I want is price, all lowercase. And now if I print Barbie's, it's just a bunch of numbers. That's what you want there. The next step, it says to print the mean. Really, that's just a check. So mean Barbie's, in my case, and I get 469.5. I suppose what your mean would be is going to be dependent on whatever that 18th value is. The only reason that that step is in there, that you have to do it, is so that way I can check the data entry. Because otherwise, if I scroll back up, all I have to go by is file.choose. I can't actually see anything. So that's why that mean is there, to act as a check. Because if you have the correct mean, you must have put that last number in correctly, because that's the only thing that can vary. If you look at the last 3 steps for the single mean, creating the vector, then the for loop, and then the quantiles, those are exactly what you do in the instructions and in that other video. So those, I think you can follow along and you'll do fine. Single proportion, more with the student ID. Now it's the first 3 numbers instead of the last 3 numbers. Everybody's student ID starts with a 1. I've already checked. So I suppose that means everybody's going to have a sample proportion of at least 0.5. But in the case of this fake student ID that's here, the first 3 digits are 1, 9, and 4, which means that my sample proportion is 194 divided by 200. So I have 194 successes and 6 failures, where in this case a success is somebody who wants to switch to the semester system. Entering it in R, instead of calling it P_hat, I'll call it that, sample prop for sample proportion. And then I want to use the combine function, and I have 194 successes, so I want to replicate 1 194 times. And then I want to replicate 0 6 times, because if there are 194 successes and 200 total, then there must be 200 minus 194, which is 6 failures. and now the sample proportion is in there. Just to check and make sure I've got it right, there. That's 194 divided by 200, which reduces to 97 out of 100, which is 0.97. You don't need to have the mean for this part of it. I just did it to illustrate that it's working, and that's how you actually get the sample proportion back out if you want it. Just like with the question about the single mean with the rare Barbies, the last 3 steps look just like what you do in the instruction sheets and in that other video, creating the vector, then the for loop, and then the quantiles to get the endpoints of the interval. So again, just follow along the other video and follow along with those instruction sheets, and I think you'll get those.